Okay, so this is the second part of your test review. We're going to start with number 19. It says, Leigh withdrew $50 from her bank account every day for a week. What was the change in her bank account in that week? So first of all, we're going to highlight a few keywords. Withdrew $50 from her bank account. Well, withdrew means to take money out. So that would indicate that that's a negative 50. And she withdrew that much every day for a week. Well, what do you know about a week? That there are 7 days in a week. And the question is, what was the change in her account? That's the question you're trying to answer. So if she withdrew negative 50 each day for a week, you're going to multiply negative 50 times 7, and you can come over here and show your multiplication. 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 5 is 35. And remember, when we use the plus mountain, if I'm multiplying a positive times a negative, you would cover the positive and the negative, and what's left? A negative. So that is a negative $350 for that week. And so the change in her account is actually a negative 350. Her account decreased by $350 that week. Number 20. In 5 minutes, a seal descended 24 feet. What was the average rate of change in the seal's elevation per minute? So in 5 minutes, the seal descended 24 feet. Well, the word descended means to go down. So again, that would indicate that that is a negative integer. And they want to know the average rate of change per minute. So if it descended negative 24 feet in 5 minutes, and we're looking for the average per minute, we're going to have to divide. So remember the ice cream cone method? The negative 24, that's the ice cream, goes inside the cone. And I'm sorry, inside the freezer, and the cone stays outside. So 5 cannot go into 2. 5 goes into 24 4 times, which is 20. You're going to subtract. That's going to give you a 4. Now you put a decimal, bring it up, attach a 0, and take it down. Remember, you can only attach 1 0 at a time. 5 goes into 40 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40, and you get your 0 remainder. So remember, a negative divided by a positive using your plus mountain again would be a negative quotient. So that means that the average rate of change was negative 4.8 feet per minute. Number 21. Working together, 6 friends pick 14 2/5 pounds of pecans at a pecan farm. They divide the pecans equally among themselves. How many pounds does each friend get? So again, if I'm going to highlight some keywords here, there are 6 friends, that's important, and they are picking 14 2/5 pounds of pecans, and they're dividing those pecans equally, and you're trying to figure out then how many pounds does each friend get. So you're dividing up the pounds of pecans, so this number has to come first. When you're dividing fractions, you really have to think, what am I dividing? Am I dividing up the friends, or am I dividing up the pounds of pecans? Because since we're setting up a fraction problem, 14 2/5 divided by 6, if you put it in the wrong order, you're going to end up getting the wrong answer. Because remember, we're going to do keep it, change it, flip it. You'll end up flipping the wrong fraction. So really think about your fraction problems. When I have a fraction problem like this, remember that we need both fractions to be in the form a over b. So the 6, we put all whole numbers over 1. And with mixed numbers, we have to do Texas. So 14 times 5 is 70. 70 plus 2 is 72. The denominator stays the same. When I do the keep it, change it, flip it, I'm just going to make my little chart right here. I'm going to take that division sign and change it to a multiplication sign. When I flip the 6 over 1 and I flip it the other direction, the reciprocal is 1 over 6. Now before I multiply top times top, bottom times bottom, I see that there's a top number and a bottom number that have a factor in common. So I can divide 6 by 6, 6 goes into itself once, and I can divide 72 by 6, and 6 goes into 72 12 times. There's nothing else I can simplify in my problem, so I'm going to go ahead and do top times top, which would give me 12, bottom times bottom, which would give me 5. Well, I noticed that what's wrong with my answer? It's improper. So I'm going to have to go change it back to a mixed number by division. 5 goes into 12 one whole time, two whole times, which is 10, with how many left over? 2, and the denominator stays the same. So that answer you should have got for number 21 should have been D. Number 22, Ruby ate 1/3 of a pizza. Angie ate 1/5 of the pizza. How much of the pizza did they eat in all? So Ruby ate 1/3. I'm going to highlight that. That's important. Angie ate 1/5. And the question is asking how much did they eat in all? Well, in all, of course, tells us to add. And you have to remember what we learned about adding rational numbers. When we're adding fractions, you have to find a common denominator. You should take the larger denominator and start counting multiples of that number and stop when both numbers go in. So 5, 10, 15. We're going to stop at 15 because it's a common multiple of both numbers. What did I do to 3 to get 15? Times 5. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. What's 1 times 5? 5. What did I do to 5 to get 15? Times 3. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 1 times 3 is 3. Now that both denominators are the same, now I can go ahead and add my numerators. So 5 plus 3 would be 8. The denominator stays the same, and our answer again would be D. In all, they ate 8/15 of the pizza. Okay, flip your review over to the back. Now notice that we moved from multiple choice answers to open-ended questions. Your test is going to be in the same format. You'll have some part of it that's multiple choice and some part of it that is open-ended. Number 23 says, Jamie had $37 in his bank account on Sunday. The table shows his account activity for the next 4 days. What was the balance in Jamie's account after his deposit on Thursday? So he had $37 on Sunday. That's what he had to begin with. And we're looking for his account balance after his deposit on Thursday. So we're going to start out with $37. And whenever you make a deposit, remember you're putting money into your bank account. So that's a positive 17.42. So you're adding $17.42 to what your balance already was to begin with. So remember that when you're adding money, you line up the decimals. You can add those zeros as placeholders. And I'm just going to add this up. You should have gotten $54.42 at the end of the day Monday. Well, then that was his balance, $54.42. But then on Tuesday, he didn't deposit any money. He withdrew $12.60. Remember, to make a withdrawal, you're taking money out of your account. You're spending money. So we have to subtract it from the balance. So when I go subtract 2 minus 0 is 0. I can't take 6 from 4. So I'm going to regroup here. 14 minus 6 is 8. Those decimals stay in a straight line. 3 minus 2 is 1, and 5 minus 1 is 4. So at the end of the day, Tuesday, you should have ended up with $41.82. So $41.82 is what his account balance was on Wednesday. Again, he didn't make any deposit. Instead, he spent more money. He withdrew $9.62. You are going to subtract that $9.62. 2 minus 2 is 0. 8 minus 6 is 2. You can't take 9 from 1, so we're going to regroup here. 11 minus 9 is 2, and 3 minus 0 is 0. So $32.20 was our balance at the end of Wednesday, but then on Thursday, he makes a deposit. So he's putting money back into his account, which deposit means you're adding that money when you're putting money in. That's a positive thing. You keep those decimals in line and you just add, lining up your digits. And his balance at the end of Thursday ends up being $94.49. And that's the final answer that you should have come up with for number 23. Number 24. A used motorcycle is on sale for $3,600. Eric makes an offer equal to 3/4 of this price. How much does Eric offer for the motorcycle? So it's on sale for $3,600, and he makes an offer equal to 3/4 of that price. Well, we talked about that in class. The of means to multiply. So you're looking for, well then, what was his asking price? How much did he offer to pay for that motorcycle? So you're going to set up your problem like a fraction multiplication. $3,600. You're trying to find 3/4 of 3,600. So you would put that whole number over 1. Now before I multiply top times top, bottom times bottom, I see that I have some numbers, a numerator and a denominator, that have a factor in common. That factor is 4. So I'm going to divide. 4 goes into itself once. 4 goes into 3,600 900 times. There's nothing else I can simplify, so now I can do top times top. 900 times 3 is 2,700. Bottom times bottom, 1 times 1 is 1. That is improper, so I go divide. And so Eric's offer was $2,700 for that motorcycle. Number 25. Victor is ordering pizzas for a party. He would like to have 1/4 of a pizza for each guest. He can only order whole pizzas, not part of a pizza. If he expects 27 guests, how many pizzas should he order? So he would like to have 1/4 of a pizza for each guest. And of course you can only order whole pizzas. So if he's expecting 27 guests, then how many pizzas should he order? Again, you want 1/4 of a pizza for each guest, and there's 27 of them. That is a multiplication problem. What do we do with our whole numbers? We put it over 1. So when I do top times top, because there's nothing I can simplify, there's no factors being shared, so I just do top times top, bottom times bottom is 4. Well, that's improper, so I have to go divide. How many times can 4 go into 27? Goes 6 times, which is 24. And our remainder would be 3. Your remainder becomes your numerator. The denominator stays the same. So that would be 6 3/4 pizza, but remember, they went ahead and told you that you can only order whole pizzas. Sometimes they don't tell you that. Sometimes you are going to have to assume that you're going to have to round this to the next highest whole number. So instead of 6 3/4 pizzas, he's going to have to order 7 pizzas. And that would be our final answer for number 25. Number 26. Tommy wrote down all of the whole numbers greater than -1 and less than 3. What is the average value of these numbers? So again, they're whole numbers. That's important. We learned what whole numbers are. They have to be greater than -1 and less than 3, and they want an average value. So whole numbers are starting with 0. They are the counting number starting from 0 going up. So that would be 0, 1, 2. If it's less than 3, does that include 3? No. So these are our numbers we're talking about, 0, 1, and 2. So if we want an average, just as if you were averaging your grades, you're going to have to add up the numbers and divide by however many numbers you added in your set. So I'm going to add 0 plus 1 plus 2. That's going to give me 3. So when I get the average, I'm going to divide by 3 numbers, because there's 1, 2, 3 numbers that I added. And so the average value is just going to be 1 of those numbers. Our final answer is 1. And your last word problem. Tom receives an allowance of $20 per week if he bought 3 comic books for $2.75 each and an action figure for $10.99. How much of his allowance did he have left? So he's earning $20 per week and he's buying 3 comic books for $2.75 each and an action figure for $10.99. And they want to know how much does he have left. So not action figures, the comic books. They're $2.75 each, and there's 3 of them. So we're going to multiply $2.75 times 3. That's 15. Carry your 1. 3 and 7 is 21. Plus 1 is 22. And 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Now remember, when you're multiplying decimals by a whole number, you do not line up the decimal. Okay, you're lining up your digits. But you do have to go look at your problem and say, how many decimal place values in my top number? There are 2. How many in my bottom number? There are none. So all together, how many decimal place values in your whole problem? You add them up, there's 2. So that means you start at the back and you move 1, 2. So that means the comic books are going to cost him $8.25 for all 3. Well, now he's going to add in an action figure for $10.99. So we're going to add $10.99 to the $8.25 for the comic books. You keep your decimals in a straight line and you go ahead and add. That would be 14. That would be 12. That would be 9. And bring down that 1. So that's $19.24 he's spending, and his allowance was $20. So now we still have to subtract to see how much he has left over from that allowance. So again, I can't take 4 from 0. I'm going to have to regroup way over here. The 2 is going to become a 1. I'm going to make that a 10. I don't need it there, so that's going to become a 9. Make that a 10. I don't need it there. That's going to become a 9. That becomes a 10. That's where I needed it. So 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 2 is 7. 9 minus 9 would be 0. 1 minus 1 would be 0. So all he had left was 76 cents of his allowance. And that concludes your test review. Let us know if you have any questions tomorrow morning right before the test. Good luck.